Well, welcome to another episode of Cycle Sports Radio. I'm Pat Harris. I'm your host. I'm also the executive producer of Cycle Sports TV. You can find us on iTunes, Cycle Sports Radio. You can also find us on YouTube, which if you're watching the video version of this, it's probably on YouTube, because iTunes is a little more expensive to actually put video up there. That's okay. You can also find us at cyclesportstv.com. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, all the social media outlets. We're just all over the place. But basically what we're talking today is about gear, which is kind of a big issue to me because I have a lot of friends that have gotten down and been injured. So as we have in previous episodes, we're bringing out the big guns today.
Big guns.
We have with us today founder and CEO of rockthegear.org, motorcycle instructor, and just all-around amazing person, Brittany Morrow. And we're excited to have you today.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for having me.
And since you obviously, and I think people, if they don't know your story, why don't you give a little brief background onto how you kind of learned the hard way, I should say, about why you should wear your gear.
Yes, the very hard way is the key word there. When I was 20, I was involved in a motorcycle crash as a passenger off the back of the motorcycle, actually, at 120 miles an hour.
That's all?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Just 120.
Yeah.
No big deal. So I was wearing a borrowed helmet, a DOT-approved extra large helmet, which was too big for me in the first place. 3 sizes, actually, because I wear a small.
Yeah.
And besides that, I didn't have any other motorcycle-specific gear on. So I was wearing a sweatshirt, no gloves, regular capri jeans, and a pair of Nike tennis shoes. And that was it.
So you're ready to hang out at the beach, not ready to get on the back of a bike.
Yeah, a cold day at the beach, but yes.
Yeah.
I did have a bikini top underneath my sweatshirt.
Oh,
so.
That's good. That's good.
Yes, good guess.
Good
there,
armor,
Pat.
yeah.
So I slid down the road 522 feet in that apparel.
Yeah.
So you can kind of say that I skinned myself alive that day.
Yeah.
I had 50% body coverage, 3rd-degree road rash.
Ooh.
That took about 8 months to fully heal. 2 of that was spent in the hospital just fighting for my life. 9 skin graft surgeries, debridement, a lot of blood transfusions because I lost a lot of blood.
And the reality here, too, and I think people don't realize with something like this, you didn't have, for the most part, you really didn't have any major internal injuries or head trauma or things like that. Right. This was all just road rash mostly that caused the issue, correct?
Right. I had a couple of dislocations. My kneecaps were kind of removed a little bit from where they should be. A torn right rotator cuff, some injuries in my lower back that we didn't find out about until later.
Yeah.
But no internal injuries. I got so lucky. I didn't break a single bone in my body. And I didn't lose any of my limbs, which is a normal thing at high rates of speed, especially when you don't have gear on. So it's weird that those are the injuries that I sustained, and it's in a very extreme version of road rash that not very many people can live to say that they've been through, simply because it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
So.
And now most people, they've gone through what you've gone through, and they don't even want to see a motorcycle.
Right.
They want nothing to do with them. That horrible, evil motorcycle caused all this to me. But you actually went the complete opposite direction.
Yes. I did not want to let my injuries or my past experience dictate the rest of my life. So I decided that I had the opportunity to share my experiences and the lesson that I learned with other people. And specifically, motorcycle riders who were young just like me and never thought that it could happen to them. So at 20 years old, my life changed in about 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, it was a terrible thing that I went through, but the opportunity that I had to kind of change the way the world sees gear was laid out before me, and I took it and ran with it.
Because you lived through it, but instead of saying, well, it was the motorcycle that did it, you realized that you weren't prepared.
Right. Well, there's a motorcycle sitting behind us right now, Pat, and it's not trying to hurt us, is it?
No, it's not.
No. All right. It's pretty safe.
I think it grabbed my butt once, though. I'm not sure.
dirty Suzuki.
Dirty Suzuki. I didn't mind, though,
yes,
so it's okay.
Yes.
But
Pat liked it a lot.
You have to be on YouTube to know what I just did, so that's good. iTunes people have no idea. So now here you are. You spent 8 months. Really, it's not an 8-month recovery because you have lifelong issues you have to deal with.
Journey,
now.
Absolutely.
It's a journey, and there's the 8 months was just to kind of get back to where you could function.
Yes.
Okay. So now what takes you on the road? How do you get to the point where you are now where you know the gear so well and you understand it? What was your journey?
Well, the first thing was getting back on a bike, and that was the hardest step. I was terrified, obviously, but I knew that it was something I had to do because I didn't want to be afraid for the rest of my life.
Face your fears.
Yes. So 18 days out of the hospital, I jumped on the back of another Gixxer and went on a 100-foot ride in the parking lot and jumped off and said, "That's enough for now. Thank you very much."
It was a start.
It was a start. You got to start somewhere. You got to get back on the horse.
Yeah.
So then I started getting rides as a passenger for about the next 6 months from a couple local friends who I trusted and people spoke well of their riding abilities. And I tried to, do a little bit of research as far as what kind of gear I should be wearing because I didn't want to ride without it anymore.
Yeah.
Ever again. I never wanted to go through that experience ever.
Was there an influence of somebody that basically said, "Hey, look, I know you went through this, and I know but this is what you need to wear"? Was there that influence, or did you just have to research this?
Well, here's the funny story about everything, Pat, is before the motorcycle accident, someone had taken the time to talk to me for about 5 minutes about PPE, personal protective equipment, because he was in the military. And he told me that, I should wear the stuff all the time. Here's a helmet, here's a long sleeve jacket, and here's armor. And then that same person put me on the back of a Vespa at 8 o'clock at night going down A1A in Daytona Beach, Florida. And neither one of us were wearing anything. So actions speak louder than words at that point.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the reasons why I made the decision that I did to wear my helmet, because I remembered that part. Mm-hmm. But again, when you don't think that it can happen to you and you don't realize the gravity that your choice holds if something does go wrong, especially at 120 miles an hour, then you're going to make your decision based off of your past experiences. And I had always been just fine as a passenger.
Yeah.
So
it hasn't happened yet, so why do I have to worry? Kind of that
Exactly.
typical mindset that,
Absolutely.
well, I haven't been hurt yet, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, you're just basically just trying to take in everything that you can to figure out what it is you need to wear to protect yourself, I'm assuming.
And mind you, I was still 20 years old when I got in the crash, so I still wanted to look cool while I was riding.
Yeah.
So a lot of the design aspect of the gear went into my choice on what I wanted to start wearing.
Okay.
There were a couple of local riders that were getting into the professional stunt scene that I met after the crash, and I paid a lot of attention to what they were wearing because I saw that what they were doing was extreme as well.
Sure.
And the guys that I ended up riding with as a passenger for the 6 months before I bought my own motorcycle, pretty much everybody was wearing the same kind of gear. Yeah. So I went in that route because I saw that the people that I was trusting to put me on the back of their motorcycles were trusting their lives with that gear.
Yeah. Yeah, so you saw that these are some people that were obviously putting themselves in harm's way, and this is what they're wearing. So now beyond that, because you've gone quite a few steps beyond that, let's just needless to say, where do you go from there? Now, okay, I got to wear the vest, I got to do this. How did you get from there to here?
Oh, long journey, 8 years almost. I bought my own motorcycle, and instead of learning at a beginner school, I went to the track, and I took kind of beginner track school, where the control riders were helping me choose my lines and help me with throttle control and things like that. But I'm pretty much self-taught for the next couple of years after that, just watching how people were riding. And I actually got hooked up with Icon, the gear company, in 2007, and really started researching new technologies and what was the newest product that could save your skin, as well as, again, the design aspect and things that people want to wear, not just because it'll protect you, but because it looks cool. So as soon as I got hooked up with Icon in 2007, I just kind of ran with it as far as, getting the training from Phil Davey, who was their brand manager at that time, really, really helped me out by hooking me up with a bunch of research and stats and data, and became an MSF rider coach in 2009. Started, a lot of media training with the MSF even before that in 2008. just wanted to not just be somebody who had been through it and wanted to teach people about it, but actually know what I was talking about. That was probably one of the most important things for me, was to not just talk the talk because I had been there and done that, but that I had actually done the research and figured out what it is that I need to be telling people.
Yeah.
Here's what you should wear, here's what you can wear.
Because let's face it, out in the motorcycle world and in a lot of industries, there's a lot more, it's almost urban legend about stuff that's really bad information floating around than there is good information.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys that have been riding for 35 years that give out horrible advice.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the motorcycle industry and community still operates on word of mouth more than anything else.
Absolutely.
So if you get bad advice and you take it as fact, then it just gets perpetuated. So that's really what the position that we're in right now is. We're trying to figure out, as a genre of people, if you will, what's correct and what's incorrect, and how we need to fix all of the misinformation that's out there and get the right info to the newer riders who are just starting out. You know, there's myths going all the way back to full face helmets will break your neck, and you don't need a 600 as your first motorcycle. You'll get bored with it in the first 2 months. You need to buy a 1000. Drinking and riding isn't that big of a deal. Things like that, where there's just so much data to back it up now. We just need to figure out how to get it to the masses. And I want to be that person when it comes to the gear.
Because the reality is bike choices, you don't ask the guy trying to sell you a motorcycle what's the best motorcycle to buy if you're just getting into it. Especially if, and it's a big issue with military, they come off a deployment, they've been out for a couple of years, they had a lot of money saved up, and they walk in and they're maybe looking at a 600, which, by the way, a 600, horrible choice for a first bike.
It's a big bike.
They're a race bike.
That's what I got for my first bike, though.
They're race bikes. Now, some of the older 600s aren't as bad because they have a little more friendly power band, but the challenge with the modern 600 is that, you know, at first, it's not that bad, but as soon as you hit the power band, it's like a two-stroke, and it's just going to throw you into a wall or off a cliff or something like that, you know, something
Especially
silly.
if you're looking at the wall.
Yeah, which is what you tend to do when you first start riding. It's like, I'm not supposed to hit that, and then you hit that.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you know, that bad advice comes into play. You know, and I think I shared with you that the reason why I started wearing gears early on in my riding career, I had a friend of mine, because you went down at 120. I had a friend that went down at 40 and spent 2 weeks in the hospital. Now, I think that's the issue, is people think, well, I'm not going to be doing 120. I don't have to worry about it. I'm just driving to work.
Right.
Okay? The reality is, road rash, even at slow speeds, can be devastating. Yeah. My friend went down at, you know, literally at 40 miles an hour, went down on his back. His entire back was road rash, which, if any of you have ever seen videos of what they do when you have, you know, third-degree burns, the scraping, and you lived it, you know what it is. He went through that. This was a big, tough guy, and he cried like a little girl because the pain was excruciating. And you know, that's something that I don't think people realize, is that even at slow speeds, you're going to get hurt. It's not like riding a bicycle. When you fall off a motorcycle, you don't just have a 20-pound bicycle that's helping you to the ground. You have a 400-pound or 500-pound or 800-pound or 900-pound motorcycle that all those extra forces are falling on top of you.
Yes.
You know, and if you've ever felt asphalt, it's a little abrasive.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. That's kind of the idea. Give you a grip on the tires. It doesn't. You know, just think of a grinder. Take a grinder and say, how long would you want that grinder to be pushed with all your weight onto your skin? That's going down at 25, 30. You know, so the education needs to be there. So what we want to talk about now is, obviously, you know, look, the thing is, we know we have to wear gear. But if we're a beginning rider, I don't know what I need. I know I need a helmet because it's the law in a lot of states. But besides that, you'll see a lot of people riding around with a helmet on, but they're wearing shorts.
Right.
They're wearing no gloves. They're wearing a T-shirt, whatever. What do they need to get to be safe on the bike, even if they're just commuting around town? Let's start with bare minimum.
Okay, bare minimum. The first thing that every rider needs to do is figure out what they're willing to risk on their own body. So at the end of the day, we need to keep in mind that your skin is the largest organ on your body. So if you wouldn't throw your liver down the street at 35 miles an hour, I don't know why you would throw your body with your skin 30 miles an hour down the road. But again, it's an adult decision that you need to make for yourself. How much are you willing to risk, and what consequences are you willing to live with? And it's not just what you are willing to live with, but what you're willing to put your friends and family through and your coworkers. One of the things that really hits home for a lot of riders is when you make a decision for yourself as a rider, yes, you're choosing to affect your own life. But your friends and family will get dragged through hell with you if you go down and you survive.
Absolutely. You have to survive it, which if you don't survive it, it's already horrific.
Right.
But sometimes it could be even more traumatic to the family when you survive it with serious injuries.
Right. Your friends and family will suffer more if you're still around and they have to watch you go through all that.
Yeah.
And I can attest to that. I watched my family go through it.
That's torture.
Absolutely.
Torture to them.
So after you decide exactly what it is that you want to protect on your body, what matters the most to you, then you can start adding piece by piece the gear that you will be wearing every time that you ride. And very importantly is making sure that you're choosing something that you're comfortable with wearing every time that you ride, because if you don't like it and it doesn't fit correctly, or you don't like the way that it looks, then you're going to put it in the back of your closet, and then why did you buy it in the first place?
Absolutely, which is the danger of buying mail order when you buy, because the sizes are not all made equal from manufacturer to manufacturer.
Right.
Even same manufacturer's different product.
Absolutely.
The fits are different.
Absolutely.
So you really need to try this stuff on.
Yes.
So, I mean, the first thing, let's talk about a helmet. Okay.
So the most important piece of equipment that you'll ever put on is going to be a helmet. I'll say that. Everything else comes secondary, simply because without your brain, you're not really you anymore. So brain injury accounts for about 67% of motorcycle fatalities right now. And internal injuries are right there underneath that. So internal injuries as far as like major organs and things go. But we're going to start with the head. So if you want to just grab one of these two. Right here, obviously the first thing that you need to wear, especially if you live in a state where you have a helmet law that requires you to wear a DOT-approved helmet, you're going to look for that DOT-approved sticker on the back of your sticker.
Or the sticker.
I'm hungry.
That would be cool to have a sticker and a sticker.
Yes. Okay, so a DOT-approved sticker on the back of the helmet, somewhere on the helmet, saying that it has met the Department of Transportation standards for what a helmet should do in case of a crash. So the helmet that I'm holding right now actually also has Snell Memorial Foundation approval, which is just a little bit more rigorous type testing standards. And that is one of the different type of companies that does testing that's not affiliated with the government. So DOT is government, and then Snell is going to be a private Memorial Foundation.
Then we also have ECE.
Yes, which I'll go into in a second because I have a helmet that has ECE and not Snell. So there's 4 components to every helmet. You're going to have your outer shell, and then you're going to have your EPS foam liner, which is between the padding and the shell, and that's what actually absorbs all of the energy if and when you get into a crash. Then you have the comfort padding on the inside, and then you have your retention system, which is how the helmet stays on your head. Really important. So all 4 of these pieces work together. So if you skip one of them, the helmet isn't going to do what it's intended to do, and that's save your head and your brain in case of a crash. So your shell will protect you from any type of abrasion or sharp objects from penetrating your skull. The foam liner, like I said, will disseminate the energy around your head when you hit the ground to help prevent concussions and other types of brain injuries. The comfort padding on the inside will actually keep the helmet fit snug up against your face and all the way around your skull. And it'll keep it from moving around too much as well. Which a lot of people do want to make sure. If you're not wearing a helmet that's the right size, then you can incur injuries that normally wouldn't happen if your helmet was...
That is the most common mistake when purchasing a helmet.
Absolutely.
And I think there was a couple studies that said that 90% of riders have the wrong size helmet.
Yeah, I think Don Bailey from Shoei taught me that. Yeah. And I would trust his word because he's been doing this for a long time.
Absolutely.
It's all about, people want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, and I 100% agree with that. I want to be comfortable when I ride as well. But because of what I've been through, I'm comfortable when I feel as if I'm most protected.
Yeah.
However, some people aren't going to be comfortable in a full face helmet.
Yeah.
There are options that work for those types of people. I'll go into those in a minute.
Yeah.
But making sure that your helmet fits snugly is so important. Whether you go with a full face 3/4 or a half shell helmet, To make sure that your helmet fits correctly, you need to, first of all, put the helmet on. And if the helmet can spin freely at all around your head, even with just pulling on it with your hand, then it's too loose. It should feel as if it's putting a little bit of pressure both on your cheeks and on your forehead and all the way around your skull, especially because the comfort padding on the inside will break in over time. And it only takes a couple of rides, especially in the summertime, for that comfort padding to kind of break down a little bit and really start fitting your head the way that it should. A lot of people also don't realize that there are 3 head shapes and 3 helmet shapes made for those head shapes. And if you don't have the right one, then your helmet might be uncomfortable simply because it's putting pressure on your head in the wrong places.
Yeah.
So if you've ever heard of what's called a hot spot, you'll get a big red circle on your forehead, and it simply means that you're wearing a helmet that's the wrong shape for your head shape.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order to make sure that you're choosing the right helmet size, whether you're trying it on or not, you can always get your head measured, and then make sure that you're looking at the brand of helmets that you're looking at's website, and they can tell you what size you should start trying on, that your base model, if you will, of the size of helmet that you should start with. And you might go up a size or down a size based on your head measurement, but a lot of that, again, has to do with your head shape.
Yeah, because I have all the helmets that I have, there are 2 different sizes of helmets that I have from manufacturer to manufacturer.
Yep, absolutely. They all
that
differ.
fit properly.
Yes. Yeah, so just make sure that you're doing your research. There's a lot of information online. Headcheck.org is a really great website that you can go to, and it has a lot of information. And then, of course, my website, rockthegear.org as well. Information on how to shop for a helmet and what to look for when it comes to making sure it fits correctly, how to make sure you're getting the right helmet for the type of riding that you're doing, all that kind of information.
And one thing that's important too, I know a lot of people that there's one of the other urban legends or myths, or I guess you could say, about a full face helmet is that it reduces your peripheral vision. And
yes.
It absolutely does
not.
If you can see wider than this, you have some weird frog eyes. That's all I got to say.
Don't be hating on those frog eyes.
Those frog-eyed people that they're like, I can see back here.
Yes. If you look, I mean, just common sense will dictate, if you look at a full face helmet, even with the side plates on, that's 180 degrees.
Yeah.
And most peripheral vision will only be about 165 degrees in the first place. And again, the peripheral vision is really important as a rider because it helps you detect motion, which is where most threats are going to come from, is something that's moving towards you. But the vision is not impaired. The depth or the field of vision is not impaired in any way, shape, or form when you wear a full face helmet. Again, it has to do with comfort. If you tend to feel claustrophobic in a full face helmet, I would personally recommend to you that I would rather have you be more focused on what you're doing than the fact that you're terrified of being in your helmet. So if it's going to put you more at risk, then by all means, look for a 3/4 helmet, or maybe even a modular, which can be changed from a 3/4 to a full face, or a half shell helmet if you must.
I'll just say this, half shell helmets are almost completely useless.
Yeah. It makes me really sad because I look at the helmet that I crashed in, and I wouldn't have my jaw or my nose or pretty much the lower half of my face if I had been wearing a half shell. But also, you know, I've had friends that have crashed in half shell helmets and it saved their life. So
and they got lucky.
Yes,
they just
lucky,
fell
absolutely.
just the right way to where it didn't. I could say that all the crashed helmets that we've gotten a hold of have basically, where the damage has been face shield, chin. That's your face.
Absolutely.
That hurts.
Yeah, and if you value this at all, then you should consider protecting it in some way. 35% of all impacts to the head in motorcycle crashes happen below the nose and in front of the ears. So just keep that number in mind. 35% of the time you wouldn't have this anymore if you weren't wearing a full face helmet.
And even just the fact that, I don't know how many times it's happened to you, but I've been hit by bugs.
Oh, and rocks.
In the face. I have had bugs that literally I've had to pull over because it's covered the entire face shield.
Absolutely.
Now, if I had no face shield, one, it'd be very painful, not to mention disgusting, and it definitely would have impaired my vision and probably freaked me out. But, you know, and I've even had stuff hit me in the shoulder with full leathers on that has been painful.
Yeah, it feels like you got shot.
Yeah, so if you get hit with that with no protection, that could be a little distracting when you ride.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So, yeah, good helmet, good lid. Try them on, make sure they fit. A lot of resources for this. If you have a smaller head, definitely suggest the ECE standard.
2205, absolutely.
Snell has gotten a little bit better with their smaller helmets, with their certification, but that was one of the issues, is they were a little too hard, so they transferred too much G-forces through the shell of the helmet into your body, which is not a good thing.
And they're always updating their testing standards, so make sure that you do your research. And when I say research, I'm talking about looking at credible sources. Don't get on your forum and ask the local riders for information, not because they're always wrong, but because the best source of information is going to come from the testing and the data that has been compiled years and years and years over.
Well, you have people that have been riding for 35, 40 years that are giving you information that was fed to them 35 or 40 years ago that was completely wrong.
Right, and they have no reason to doubt it simply because maybe that was their experience at one time.
And they haven't died yet, so
exactly. Well, that's why they're giving you information.
Yeah, exactly. So here, I'll take that.
We got it. Sorry.
Okay, so now we got the helmet. We got to have a jacket.
Okay.
And so I'm going to reach over here, and I'll grab you. What do you want me to do? The textile one first? These are pants.
Yeah, that one right there is the fighter mesh. That's what we'll start with.
We'll start with this one.
Okay. So this is your basic level of protection when it comes to materials. This is what we call fighter mesh. So this is super see-through. I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but I'm going to hold it up anyways. You can kind of see almost through the material and into the background, simply because the weave on the textile is more open, so it allows much more airflow. The material isn't any different. It's just the weave and the shape of the threads as they come together. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have to do with being less abrasion resistant. It's just how much thread is being used in your jacket. So this is a fighter mesh jacket from Icon, as you can see.
But it still has some important armor points, which we're going to talk a lot about with this, is in the impact zones where they're most important. When you fall, you're going to hit certain spots more often than not, so you have to have...
Yes, so as you can see in the elbows, there's a Cordura type material, more abrasion resistant in this area, simply because that's what's going to hit the ground, and because it's harder on our elbows, it digs into the ground more. Also, there is shoulder armor and elbow armor in this jacket. So even though it's lightweight and for more of a summertime riding with a lot of airflow and a little bit less abrasion resistance, it's still going to have armored protection in case of a crash. So we're protecting our important bones in our upper body, elbows, shoulders, and then also this does come with a small back pad, which I've removed. I'll be talking about spine protection here in a little while, and I always wear my spine protection underneath my jacket, so I remove the foam pad. But even a foam pad in your back is better than nothing at all. So keep that one in mind when you're looking for a jacket. If you're going to go for a lightweight summer jacket, fighter mesh with armor.
Yeah, this is definitely better for warmer weather where you need some airflow.
Yes.
Not going to give you the abrasion resistance of a heavier, like leather or stuff. But we're going to step up here. Is this the next one we wanted to grab?
Next one.
This is a textile.
Full textile jacket. And as you can see, it's not nearly as see-through.
Yeah.
So it still has, a breathable liner on the inside, but the weave is much closer together, much tighter. So it still has great airflow for summer riding, but this could also be a fall and springtime jacket as well when it gets a little bit cooler. Just to make sure you have, again, the armor in the elbows and the shoulder. I've actually removed it from this jacket because we're going to look at the armor specifically from this jacket in just a minute. Again, in a back pad. But make sure that there is, this one has articulation in the shoulders, which is really great for the riding position, especially if you ride a sport bike or with a more aggressive riding position. It allows you to reach forward towards those controls without your sleeves sliding up your arm. And then again, there's a little bit of extra abrasion resistance in this area here. There's some articulation spots in the elbows. There's an adjustment here on the side so you can make it a little bit tighter or looser around your waist so that it does fit you correctly. And again, if your jacket, just like a helmet, doesn't fit you correctly, it's not going to do everything that it can in case of a crash. So you're going to want to make sure that your sleeves fit snugly around your wrists so that if you pull on them, they're not going to come up and expose your skin on your arms. and use those side adjustments so that you can make sure it's not going to pull up on your sides and expose the skin on your sides.
Because too loose is very problematic.
Yeah, well, and again, that's another problem I see a lot is people buy jackets that are way too big for them simply because they want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what happens in a crash is the material will bunch up and actually cause tear points, because you're putting so much stress on one point in the jacket that the seams will come apart. If the jacket fits snugly enough, all you're going to do is slide. Or even if you're tumbling, there won't be nearly as much stress on any of the seams because there's no bunching. And a lot of times, when people are riding in jackets too big, that's what would happen in a crash.
Well, and one thing about it just definitely has to fit, and two, with textile, I think I have several textile jackets. The advantage of textile with something like this is like this one's breathable, but there are a lot of jackets that have a breathable outer layer, then they'll have an inner layer that protects you from, that have multiple layers. If you don't have, if you're not like us where we have a whole closet and then another closet full of gear, there are jackets that can be, you can pull out inner liners, you can pull out, there's multiple layers to the jacket to allow it to be used for all the way from cold weather riding in the wintertime to summer riding. And that's important. And textile, although it's not, it is probably falls in the middle as far as abrasion resistance compared to leather. It offers a little bit more in the way of versatility and some issues comfort. Once leather's broken in, it's pretty comfortable.
Yes, depending on the type of leather too.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely.
A lot of the newer textile technologies coming out nowadays, Kevlar and Dyneema together with the nylon, when you're talking about textile, has almost completely matched the abrasion resistance of leather.
Yeah.
And those are obviously going to be in the really expensive category of textile, but just do your research. And again, it's an adult decision. It's what is going to be right for you as a rider, and no one can make that choice for you.
And the thing is, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
The cheaper, even leather, like tracksuits, you buy a cheaper tracksuit, it's a one-use proposition. You go down once, it's done.
Right.
Because it's going to probably have some holes in it.
Right.
But you go spend 15 or 18 or 100 or 2,000 on tracks. They'll go down on those things all the time and using them over and over.
Sliding on them and then getting right back on the bike and still being just fine. So it's about the kind of riding that you're going to be doing, the weather that you're going to be riding in, how often you're going to wear the piece. There's so much that goes into it. So when it comes to options, there really are endless, and that's really a good thing, especially for me as a female, because I like to shop. I like to have, like you said, a closet full of options.
Yes.
So it's getting better and better nowadays. Even for females, it used to be really bad. It's getting better and better for female riders as well. Things that are cut specifically for us.
It's important.
Absolutely. For our body shapes, things that give us, a little bit more room in some places and a little less room in others. And it's just, it's getting better. So just make sure that you are trying things on and figuring out what's going to be right for you as a rider.
Absolutely.
All right. This is a leather jacket, full leather. Again, this one does come with an insulating liner as well, which I've removed. It has the armor in the shoulders and in the elbows. It has YKK zippers, which are super heavy duty. They're going to last for a long time. All of this gear that I've shown you, except for the very first jacket, I've actually owned for over 3 years. So if that's any indication of how well this has been holding up, yes. So if you can see in this area, there's a little bit of perforation. That'll help with airflow. A lot of leather, and there's perforation here as well. A lot of leather jackets or even tracksuits will come with perforation. That's not really going to affect the abrasion resistance of the leather nearly as much as it's going to help with airflow. And again, without perforation, that's going to be the best, most abrasion resistant type of material that you can have. But the perforation itself doesn't make the leather any weaker. And
there's different that you'll see in the more the higher quality leather jackets that even the thickness of the leather is different.
Yes.
And the reinforcement in certain parts for seams and for because you don't want it coming apart. You don't want the seam, because if the seam fails.
Yes. Yeah, and that's where my friend Lee Parks would love to talk for a long time about just the threads and the way that the leather is constructed in the first place when it comes to
Yeah.
putting something together. If you have Kevlar thread, absolutely it's going to be strong, but it's going to go through your leather like a cheese grater. If you have nylon thread that's got a little bit of a give, then that's going to actually allow your seams to stretch slightly when they're put under that kind of pressure, as opposed to ripping right through your glove and exposing your skin or your jacket or your pants or whatever you're wearing. And then the type of stitching, the number of knots that there are, how close together they are. I could go on for days simply because of what I learned from Lee. There's so much that goes into it. Again, when I say do your research, I mean go straight to the source and see exactly what you're going to be purchasing and if it's right for you. For me, I have all these choices because I do a lot of different kinds of riding and I ride in lots of different weather. So I do have to have, I can't have just one jacket, I have to have lots of them. And not just because I'm a female and
We
I
have to,
stuff.
have
Yes,
to, absolutely.
All right, so full leather, as you can see, this is definitely a choice that most riders would consider the consummate motorcycle jacket, black leather.
Black leather.
And this is what society thinks that we wear all the time too. So if this is the right choice for you, then absolutely, by all means, have a leather jacket hanging in your closet for colder weather.
You'll also notice here we have zippers, which are for venting. So you do want to have something that you can open up a vent to let some of the hot air out.
Yes.
It's not going to affect abrasion resistance.
Nope.
You also have the reinforcements on the bottom of the jacket, because one thing you don't want to happen is the jacket coming up your back if you were to go down.
Well, and this will sit, especially because this is a female jacket, this sits right below the small of your back. So for females especially, they have that little space just above their butt that usually the jackets wouldn't cover if they were wearing male jackets. But now that it's a female cut, it's going to sit right in that little divot and it's going to protect that area in case of a crash. These little snaps here are actually really nifty. This will loop through the holes of your
like riding jeans.
Yes. Okay.
Like riding pants, but more of a riding jean that has loops.
Right. So if you have belt buckle loops or belt loops, whether you're wearing jeans or motorcycle specific jeans or even riding pants that have loops for belts, these will loop through them and then snap back up here so that your jacket stays down as well. That can also help with your jacket from riding up when and if you're in a crash.
And they have a bunch, different jackets have, some of them will use a zipper, a partial zipper that's only 8, 12 inches wide. Some will have full circumference zippers that actually will zipper all the way around. A lot of your two-piece track leathers as well as touring gear are going to do that because they want that staying together, and also it prevents rain from getting up in there because if the stuff comes apart and you're in a downpour, you know that water's coming in.
Absolutely.
Trust me. I went through that, and thankfully I had the right gear on.
Me too. I've ridden in the rain and loved my rain gear because of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, really, with pants, we're dealing with the same thing. Now, what people think is I have jeans on right now. These are not riding pants.
Nope.
Okay, these, if I go down at 25, I'm going to rip these to shreds.
Yes.
If I go down at 55 or 65.
At 15, he will rip them to shreds.
Yeah, so they really don't do much.
Cotton is not an abrasion-resistant material, my friends. Just in case you were wondering.
So exactly. So with pants, we really have the same choices. We have to look at. We have pants with higher airflow that are going to be your textile type material, but have like more of a mesh. Summertime pants. Then you have the textile that's in the middle. You have full touring riding gear. That I have a pair of touring pants that honestly, I can't even put the inner liner in until it's below freezing because it's too warm.
Yes.
I mean, they work that well.
Absolutely.
But they offer great protection and they're textile. And believe it or not, they're comfortable.
Yeah.
They're very comfortable. So the big thing I think a lot of people think is I got jeans on, I'm okay. But
I was wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Just think about what you would do if you didn't have your kneecaps or the skin on the side of your legs. It's really important to protect that part of your body as well. Yes, maybe you'll live if you're wearing just jeans, but the pain and the amount of time that you'll be spending away from your motorcycle or doing the things that you really want to do, it's just really not worth it to go out and buy a pair of even just motorcycle specific jeans. If you have to wear jeans when you ride, I would just suggest looking at motorcycle specific jeans. They're going to have extra abrasion resistant panels in the areas that count. Your knees, your hips, and your butt. And there's lots of materials that they use for that. Most of the time, it's going to be a mixture between Kevlar and Dyneema. And that's a really great way to protect yourself, but still, maybe look like you're ready to go to the mall.
And a lot of them just look like regular jeans.
They
so
do.
it's not a style issue. Yeah, there's some of that.
Right
And that's
us.
the thing. And that's the thing is that a lot of people that I don't want to wear motorcycle pants. I don't want to do that. These look like regular jeans, and they're going to offer additional protection over what regular jeans were. Now they're certainly not the ultimate choice, but they're much better than just wearing jeans.
Yes.
Now when you get into to like a textile, we have to deal with the same things. We also need to look at and to make sure that these pants have the CE approved armor.
Yes.
Which is the padding that we're going to talk about.
Especially in the knees.
Especially in the knees. Absolutely.
They're going to hit the ground regardless. If you're going down, your knees are going to hit the ground at some point.
Yeah.
So I promise you'd rather have the armor than your kneecaps on the ground.
Yep.
So I have a pair over there. They are textile, and I love these pants so much. I've put 20,000 miles on them in about a year.
These ones?
Yes. So as you can see, it's time for a new pair.
Yep.
But I actually brought them here to show you guys exactly how sturdy they are and how much they've held up, simply because I wear them so often. So these actually have only come apart at the seams after, an entire year of wearing them almost every single day. And if you watched any of the stuff that I did last summer, I put some crazy miles on these pants.
Oh, yes, you did.
I did a Saddle Sore 1000 with the Iron Butt Association. So that's 1,000 miles. I did it in 17 hours. These pants have seen every type of weather. Heat, freezing cold, rain, snow, sleet. So at the end of the day, for me, this is worth it. Simply because I know how bad it can be when you go down and take all of the skin off your kneecaps and you take all the skin off your shins, and then you have to learn how to walk again. So at 20 years old, I didn't think that would ever be me, but it was me. And I could have changed that simply by putting on a pair of motorcycle-specific pants.
Absolutely. And your legs, you think about it, well, if it doesn't have to kill you, but what about quality of life?
Absolutely.
Being able to do the things you normally do. Look at guys, racers that go down at 150 miles an hour, and they're up and chasing their bike before it stops
cursing
sliding.
at their motorcycle.
Trying to get back up again, going, damn it, I'm going to lose 12 seconds on this lap. They're trying to... if you went down with anything but the best gear, you wouldn't be getting up at all.
Correct.
Even if we were just sliding.
Yes.
So
these are what we call overpants. These actually go over your jeans. So when you get to where you're going, you can take these off and you still look like a normal everyday person underneath your motorcycle specific gear. But when it counts, if you were to go down on the bike, then you have the type of protection that you're going to really want. And the cool thing about these is that they pretty much are designed like a regular pair of jeans, except that the pockets zip together. So obviously you're not going to lose your stuff while you're riding. But they've got back pockets just like jeans do. They've got belt loops, so you can wear a belt if you need to, or you can hook those straps that I was showing you earlier. Your jacket can go right through those belt loops and keep your pants up and your jacket down. So these are actually going to fit a little bit bigger than a normal pair of pants, simply because they're designed to go over jeans.
Yeah, and you got to try them on with your pants on, because they're overpants. Don't try them on with, don't go in the changing room and try them on like you're buying pants. Put them on over your existing pants.
Absolutely. And these actually have a really cool feature where the front panel zips open, so you can have airflow. Again, in the summertime, regardless, it's going to get hot. Even if you're in jeans, it gets hot. So this helps with making sure that your body heat's escaping and the air is getting in. It's like that on both sides. And then this is also going to have the knee armor in it, which I've removed so we can look at it a little closer. They also zip up on the bottom, so you can put them on and off with your boots on really easily, and then just zip them and snap them right over your boots, so that they kind of stay where they need to in case of a crash. They're not going to pull up over your shins and your knees.
Yeah, because if any part of your gear pulls up over your arms, over your legs, up your back, pretty much useless at that point.
The road will take a bite out of you wherever you give it the opportunity.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And these are well worn, I'll tell you. You definitely got your use out of these. You got your use out of these, boy. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely.
Okay, now what do you want to look at next over here?
We can go to gloves or boots or armor, whatever you are ready to go.
Okay, let's show the gloves. Are the gloves underneath this here? I think I see a pair. No, that's a back protector. In fact, here, I'll give you this so you can talk about the back protector real quick while I look for gloves.
So underneath any
There we
good
go.
jacket would be something that I would highly recommend for all riders, simply because internal injury, including those head injuries, accounts for almost all of motorcyclist fatalities nowadays. So this is a field armor vest. This is going to give you chest protection, kidney protection, and back protection. Super important. So what's really unique about this vest, if you guys notice, you can see the little bit of the pink color underneath here. What's underneath this leather abrasion resistant material in the shoulders, in the front, here through the center and the chest, and all the way through the back piece, underneath this CE approved plastic armor, is D3O foam, which is an amazing new technology that is quite squishy and pliable when it's just regular put on, where it feels like it moves with you, but as soon as it comes into contact with something hard or a high force impact, it gets rigid. So it's going to protect you when you crash, and it's going to feel comfortable when you're riding like normal, which is really, really important as a rider, because you want to feel comfortable, but you want to be protected as well.
And that's why, again, it's important to try them on. I could tell you I wear a similar undergarment, and I completely forget that it's on.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes part of, just becomes part of like your everyday clothing after a while, and you forget that it's there, and being comfortable while you're riding is important, but being protected when you're crashing is even more important.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
As you can see, the CE approved hard plastic in the front. I can bang on it with my knuckles. The back protector, the spine protector on this has special articulation so that it can allow you to bend like a normal human being, but it won't allow you to go beyond your spine's limits in case of a crash. It's going to really help you, and especially with a little bit of the twisting as well. Those are the kind of injuries that we tend to incur as riders. So just make sure that you're looking for, if you're going to go with something like this, the type of spine, chest, and kidney protection, again, that is going to actually do its job. So it's got to fit snugly, and I would highly recommend CE approved full back armor and underneath any type of jacket that you're wearing, or you can insert it into your jacket.
Awesome.
All
Now,
right.
I'm going to hand you here at the same time. We have both. I'll hold on to the gloves first, but we talked so much about the armor,
Yes.
the CE approved armor that basically is what you're going to want to look for in your gear, okay?
Yes.
This is going to be inside of the garment. You
Yes.
won't really actually see it.
Yes, you won't see it until you take it out like you can, so that you can wash your gear. Who would have thought, right? So you don't wash this stuff, but you can throw your textile gear into the washing machine.
Yep.
So it don't stink no mo.
Yeah, trust me, you want to do it after a while.
This guy. Don't let him borrow your jacket.
No. Plus it won't fit anyway.
You look so
it's
good
okay.
in pink though, Pat.
Yeah, I do, I know, but it's...
All right. So as you can see, this is going to be a knee pad. So it's going to go, on your leg like this. But the most important thing about it is that although, yes, it is armor, it's not armor in the true sense that it's like a piece of metal that would go clang, clang on the ground. It's squishy. And you can see that it is going to move along with your body the way that it needs to. So it's human motion at its finest. Now, when it comes into contact with something rigid and at a high rate of speed, it's going to go rigid and dissipate that energy throughout the entire pad around the important parts of your body, like your knees, your elbows, and your shoulders. So as you can see, the pads get smaller and different shaped for the special or for the different parts of your body, but knee pads, elbow and forearm pads, ta-da, and shoulder pads.
And those are critical impact points when you go down.
Absolutely. They're going to hit the ground pretty much every time, regardless of how fast you go down.
Yeah.
As he said earlier, I'm a motorcycle instructor, and I see people crash at 5 and 10 miles an hour all the time. And if they had been wearing stuff like this, they wouldn't have the bruises and even the breaks in their elbows and their shoulder. I've seen shoulder injuries. Abrasion even. This helps you with abrasion even. So 5, 10 miles an hour, even this stuff is important.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about gloves, because that's kind of an important deal, because anytime you fall, think about it, if you're running and you trip and you fall, what's the first thing you do?
Hands out. That's a fight or flight response. Your body's going to do it whether you want to or not. You can train yourself not to, but in the heat of the moment when your body takes over, it's probably going to happen. At some point, you're going to stick your hands out and try and stop your fall. I mean, I did it 120 miles an hour. Bad idea. Mm-hmm. Yes.
But it's, like you said, it's just a natural response.
Absolutely.
So gloves are very critical. Motorcycle-specific gloves.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't go get ski gloves in the wintertime because it's cold.
I'm going to reach for these real quick.
Okay.
Because this is
So,
a good example.
and I think one of the big things is like you said, it's when you look at a glove, there are some very specific, when we talked about impact points, there are impact points and abrasion points on gloves that you have to make sure that they have the proper reinforcement.
Yes. So he's actually holding 2 pairs of full leather gloves, and I'm holding a pair of, actually these are full leather as well. I thought I grabbed half textile, half leather gloves, but I didn't. Apparently I don't wear those anymore. All right, so these are my 3 favorite pairs of gloves.
Okay.
Whether you're going with textile or leather, because of, again, the heat and the amount of airflow that you're looking for and how comfortable they are, don't ever get textile on your palms. Bam, leather all the time. Okay, all 3 of these gloves are going to have leather on the palms, and the back side will allow for, a little bit more airflow if you get textile, but all 3 of these happen to be leather. So leather on the palms, I always look for double reinforcement simply because I want 2 layers there. The more of someone else's skin that I can put on my palms than my own when I'm going down is really important. So sorry, Mr. Cow or Mr. Goat or whatever you were.
Kangaroo, whatever it is.
Yes. Elk, deer.
Yeah, who knows?
Love you, Lee. It's going to be really important. So again, it's a choice that you need to make for yourself. Do the research on what is the best material to use and what type of riding you're going to do, and then you can choose. All 3 of these gloves are shorty gloves. These aren't gauntlet gloves simply because they don't come any higher than your wrist. Now, if you are going to be wearing a jacket that can get pulled up just a little bit, you're really going to want to protect that transition area. If you're on the track, you're going to want to protect that transition area.
In fact,
as well.
if you do a track day, they won't allow you on the track with these
Correct.
gloves.
You have to wear gauntlet gloves at the track. So again, it's a decision that you need to make based on what kind of riding that you're going to do.
When you see in all these, you got to look for knuckle protection.
Absolutely.
You got to look for, when you put your hand down, the palm has reinforcements here. That there's different spots that that you're going to have more abrasion on. So look at it. If it doesn't have any of that, again, you're getting what you pay for.
Full fingered, again, really important. Make sure that you're covering, your fingertips as well. I actually lost some of my fingerprints in my crash because I ground my fingerprints off, and then they grew back as scar tissue instead.
So your life as a spy is
rob the banks.
That's right.
Keep in mind that the more fancy schmancy stuff that they have sewn onto the glove, that's just more thread count, more times that they've poked a needle through the material. So it might look cool, but at the same time, it will slowly start to weaken that leather. And if and when you go down, the possibility of it splitting apart gets higher and higher the more stuff that you have used to sew together or sew onto your gloves. So knuckle protection, really important. Venting here in the knuckles. These are my favorite pair of gloves. I love these so much.
Yeah, they got to be comfortable. Now the big thing too, if you get really good high quality leather gloves, it's kind of like a leather jacket. They got to break in.
Yes.
They're not going to be. They're not going to be super comfortable right when you buy them. The better the glove, the thicker the material, the longer it's going to take to break in. Once they do break in, though, awesome, because they fit your hand, they fit everything. Just know that anything leather needs to be broken in.
Yes.
It's not
Give it a little bit of time before you ride it off, simply because it's got to, it's got to mix with the sweat and the salt in your hands, and even the pH of your sweat will change the amount of time that it takes to break in the leather. So depending on the type of leather and how much dye there is in it and all that other stuff.
I think the big thing too is you can use leather conditioner to help break in leather. The problem is you can't put it anywhere that it requires some sort of grip. So in other words, if you have leather, track leathers, for instance, I've had people that they put the leather conditioner all over, even on the backside, and guess what? They get on the bike and they're sliding off. Anywhere you need to grab something, don't put the conditioner on. So now we have these are like shorty boots.
My favorite pair of regular everyday riding boots, simply because, oh my gosh, I've had these. I think I've had these for 4 years, and I pretty much wear them every single time I ride because after just a couple of wears, they fit my foot so well and they're so comfortable that they've become almost an everyday shoe for me because of what I do. I wear these standing on concrete for 6 hours a day when I'm out on the range teaching MSF classes. I walk around in them at the mall. I will ride them. I'll wear them to bike nights and walk around in them simply because they're like an all type of use, everyday type of use boot. So as you can see, they're pretty worse for the wear, but it's after 4 years and they've still held up pretty well, and they've still got protection in the vital places, so I still wear them. But I do have some other new boots coming in soon. Yeah. So fingers crossed, I'm going to love them as much as I love these. So as you can see, they're full leather. They are going to have hard soles, and really important that they're non-slip as well. When I put my feet down, if it's oily, I don't want to slip and fall off my motorcycle at 0 miles an hour and then have everyone laugh at me. Yeah. So grip is really important, and then especially grip on the foot pegs as well. As you can see, I have started to wear a little hole in the balls of my feet where my foot peg is, and I'm very proud of that.
Means your foot was in the right position.
Yes, it tells me that my foot's been in the right position this whole time. Really important to think about where you're using the lever. So the shift lever on your left foot, if there's a little bit of reinforcement on that toe, it just means that the manufacturer probably did some riding at some point in their life, or the designer did some type of motorcycle riding at some point in their life, and they know that your shoes can get pretty ruined, whatever you're wearing, if you don't have that extra, little piece there or resistance for using your shift lever. These lace up, which a lot of people choose to wear lace-up boots that don't have any covering over it, but I have had my laces on regular shoes caught back when I was a passenger and things like foot pegs one too many times, and I don't want that to happen ever again. So the cool thing about these is that they lace together, and you tie them like a normal, but then you tuck all the laces underneath this strap, and the strap actually snaps and buckles into place. Similar
to a dirt bike.
Yes.
Boot.
And so your laces aren't going to be coming loose, but also now your boot is secured to your ankle. This boot is not coming off no matter how hard you pull on it. And the road will pull on your footwear. I'm sure if you've ever seen somebody go down, even in a YouTube video, in tennis shoes, those are the first things to go. And they will fly through the air.
Oh, yeah.
My shoes, my Nike tennis shoes, yeah, definitely bye-bye. Somewhere in the desert still, I'm sure. The leather is all the way around. It's abrasion resistant. There's going to be extra padding in the ankles, very specifically for if the motorcycle lands on your foot. You want to make sure you're protecting yourself not just from abrasion, but from also a crushing blow. And if you're flying down the freeway, regardless of whether you're on your bike or not, if your foot hits the ground, bam, at a high rate of speed, you're going to want a little bit of sturdy protection for your fragile little foot on the inside, because a quarter of all your bones in your body are located below your knees. So make sure you're protecting all those little bones in your feet, because once you have a foot injury, your feet never feel the same afterwards, and I can attest to that. I had to throw away a bunch of pairs of shoes because after I dislocated my big toe, half of my heels didn't fit anymore because of the shape of my foot and the amount of pain that I was in, simply because of the pressure that was put on that toe after that crash. So learning how to walk again and then having to throw all my shoes away. It was a bad day.
And again, it's important that these are motorcycle-specific boots, because
Absolutely.
Regular boots just don't have any protection where they're necessary. And you are going to find, too, that these are shorter boots, but you're going to find that they have, you'll see a lot of taller boots. Advantage to a taller boot is you're going to have a lot better ankle protection from twisting. One thing that you'll notice on track boots, I have mine in the truck, but I'm not going to pull them out. These are a daily, sort of an all-weather, sort of a touring type boot.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a little bit of extra protection on the side, but one of the things that you'll find is that these boots have very little side-to-side articulation. They don't want to let you twist your foot, your ankle, because that's a very common injury, is that even if you're just kind of putting around in a parking lot and you feel like you're going to fall over and you put your foot down as a response, you could just tweak that ankle. Well, you need that ankle protection. You need to have something there. And this is a boot like this is going to offer a lot more protection. You'll see that in different impact zone, again, this has extra protection where you would have some impact. And again, the reinforcement for the shifter and the heel, absolutely. But good grip on them.
Absolutely.
And, check your boots. If you do a lot of all-weather riding, you want something that's not going to let all the air, the water in. You know, there are boots that give you better air circulation, but if air can get in really easily, so can water.
Yep.
So know what type of riding that you're going to do. And this one on the side has a little thing there that says waterproof.
Yes,
so
these are waterproof, which is why they have the special little liner that goes on top of the zipper, and then the Velcro up at the top. So as you can see that these are laceless. That's really important when you're looking for waterproof.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, you can't use laces aren't waterproof.
No. Nope, the little holes.
Maybe they'll figure that out.
Yeah. So lots of extra abrasion resistance and crushing blow resistance on these. Impact protection, again, really important. And these do definitely keep you from rolling your ankle or articulating your foot in a way that would cause injury. So if that's the kind of protection that you want, then you can absolutely go with that. It's an option for you as a rider.
Absolutely.
And they're still very comfortable.
And I think the big thing here, if you've kind of gotten the message, is that, you know, first of all, you get what you pay for.
Yes.
Okay? If you go cheap, you're going to sacrifice protection.
Yes.
But ultimately, you have to decide what your health and what your well-being is worth.
Absolutely.
Your ability to walk, your ability to, you know, it can really, even minor slow accidents can cause a lot of damage. So you have to sit down and think, how important is your health and your physical ability to just do your normal day-to-day stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not about giving up something that you love to do. I love riding. Obviously, I didn't give it up. I went above and beyond when it came to not just getting back on as a passenger, but then getting on my own motorcycle because I wanted to be the one in control.
Yeah.
It's really important to do what you love and be happy. But in order to do it for the rest of your life, there are some steps that you can take. I'm not saying that you have to, but that you can take to keep you happy and healthy for the rest of your career as a motorcyclist. And again, at the end of the day, no amount of gear will save you from yourself.
That's right.
So really the very, very best piece of equipment that you can have as a rider is a good decision maker between your ears. So 90% of all safe riding, I believe, has to do with mental capabilities and the willingness to make decisions that don't put you into any type of situation that you can't handle based on your skill level and your motorcycle's capabilities.
Well, for the last few years in Nevada, I don't know about here, but the statistics in Nevada have been that a little over 50% of all motorcycle accidents were single vehicle accidents. That means, guys, single vehicle accidents means nobody hit us. That means we did something goofy and crashed. So that's 50% of the accidents that you can get rid of completely, and probably a bunch more, you know, because there's a lot of things you can avoid if you're just paying attention.
Now, I will say that I do know statistically the state of Idaho has done some really comprehensive motorcycle crash data analysis over the past couple of years. And right now, as it sits in Idaho, and this is kind of how the national trends are starting to look, almost 50%, I think it's 42% of all motorcyclist fatalities are due to rider error in a corner. 30-something percent, I think 32% or so, is drinking and riding. Again, rider error.
Bad idea.
And then 18% of all motorcyclist fatalities are because a driver violated the motorcyclist right away. So the smallest of those three groups has to do with other people. The largest of the three groups has to do with us just not being able to turn correctly. So at the end of the day, again, it's about your skill level, your motorcycle's capabilities, knowing those two and how they work together, but also the willingness to not put yourself into a situation that you can't handle. If you want to be a rider for the rest of your life, you have to take the responsibility to make some decisions that keep riding fun, but at the same time keep you safe.
Absolutely. I want my riding career to end because I am so damn old that I cannot throw a leg over the day because my walker gets in the way of the motorcycle and I can't get on it. That's when I want my motorcycle, and then I still won't want it to end. But
I'm gonna put ape hangers.
Well, that was pretty good. I like that. That's a broken seat.
I'm gonna put ape hangers on my walker.
There you go. So if you can't ride, you can still feel like you're riding.
Absolutely.
You have a little attitude.
Little throttle.
Well, Brittany, thank you so much for being on with us. I think it was some awesome information. Now, how can everybody get a hold of you? I know there's multiple outlets. How does everybody get a hold of Brittany Morrow?
Oh, you asking for my number?
That's right, baby.
Okay, well, the best source of information or the best source of contact information for me would be at www.rockthegear.org. And that's the not-for-profit educational website that I've been running since 2008, simply just to give some education and a lot more motivation for you to wear the gear every time that you ride. There's a contact form on there even that you can fill out. It'll come straight to my email address. I'm on Facebook. Just really all you have to do, and this is going to sound kind of funny, but all you got to do is go to Google and type in my name, Brittany Morrow, and you'll find my Facebook page, you'll find Rock the Gear, you'll even find my blog, which is brightertomorrow.com.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of great information on there. I've looked at the site myself, and I think it's important to really educate yourself, because let's face it, you have a lot more fun when you're not scared, you're not injured, you're not uncomfortable. You know, the fact is we ride because we love to ride and we love the experience, and we want to do it for a long time.
Yeah, for a very long time.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Pat.
It was awesome. And don't forget to check us out. It's Cycle Gear. I'm promoting Cycle Gear.
What?
You like that? Promoting Cycle Gear. They're not even here. They didn't give me any money. CycleSportsTV.com is our website. You can also find us on YouTube. We have about 105 videos at this point on YouTube.com/CycleSportsTV. Cycle Sports Radio. Find us on Twitter, on Facebook, everywhere. Just look up Cycle Sports TV, the same thing as you, because we got lots of great information, and we got a few videos with you up there too.
Woo,
so that's
they're everywhere, all day, every day.
Thanks a lot. We hope you enjoyed the show, and make sure if you're listening to this on iTunes that you rate the show. Give us 5 stars, because if you don't give us 5 stars, we're going to find out where you live.
We're going to find you.
We're going to go down.